The news came to Earth on a calm morning. People were starting their day. Ships were leaving the orbital docks, and the sky over the capital city was bright and clear. Then the signal arrived. It was not from Earth's satellites or any friendly colony. It came from the Galactic Council, the governing body of dozens of alien civilizations across the known stars. The message was official, sharp, and carried a tone that no one on Earth had heard before. It accused humanity of breaking interstellar law, according to the Council. A human mining operation on a moon in the Rilith sector had disrupted important trade routes used by other species. The message stated that humanity had to send a representative to answer for its actions before the Council. The implication was clear. This was not a request. In the high command chamber of Earth's defense fleet, the room was tense. Generals, ministers, and advisors sat around a large table while the message played again on the central screen. Every word was translated into Earth's standard, but even without the translation, the voice of the alien speaker sounded cold and unyielding. "They are making an example of us," Admiral Thomas said. His deep voice carried across the room. "They think we will kneel without protest." Minister of Trade Helena folded her arms. "They have already decided we are guilty. This is not about justice. This is about showing the galaxy that humanity must be kept in check." In the middle of the room, Captain Daniel Ross listened without speaking. He was a man in his early 40s, with a calm expression and the kind of presence that drew attention even in silence. He had served in multiple peacekeeping missions across human space, always known for keeping a clear head under pressure. When the discussion reached a standstill, all eyes turned toward him. "Daniel," Admiral Thomas said, "you will go to the Council. You will speak for Earth." Daniel did not ask why. He understood. This was not a task for a politician. The council chambers were known to be full of sharp words and hidden traps. They needed someone who could listen, watch, and strike at the right moment if needed. "I will go," Daniel said simply. Preparations began at once. The diplomatic transport Silver Dawn was ready for departure. Its smooth silver hull gleamed under the dock lights as engineers checked every system. While technicians worked, Daniel received briefing after briefing: political background, alien customs, known council factions, and details about the Rilith incident. The mining operation in question had been entirely legal according to Earth's agreements, but the trade disruption claim was strange. The records showed only minor delays, nothing that would justify such a strong reaction. Still, the council had power. They controlled trade lanes, security treaties, and even the right for civilizations to explore certain sectors. If they decided to punish Earth, the consequences could be severe. On the day of departure, Daniel stood on the viewing deck as the Silver Dawn lifted off from Earth's orbital station. Through the wide glass panels, the blue curve of Earth slowly fell away, replaced by the black of space and the scattered light of distant stars. Crew members moved with quiet efficiency, giving him space as he gathered his thoughts. During the journey to the Council's homeworld, Verith, Daniel reviewed what he knew of the alien species he would face. The Varathians themselves, tall and thin with shimmering skin, served as the primary hosts and mediators. Then there were the bulky Rorith, known for their booming voices and direct demands. The silent but sharp-minded Trellians often influenced decisions without saying much at all, and somewhere among them were the Zorthan, a predatory-looking species with a reputation for ruthless politics. After several days of travel through warp space, the Silver Dawn emerged near Verith. The planet was breathtaking from orbit, oceans of deep green, continents marked by silver like cities, and long arcs of space stations surrounding the equator. Ships of all sizes moved in orderly lanes, guided by bright beacon lights. The docking procedure was strict. Automated control took over the Silver Dawn and guided it toward a vast station that hung above the planet like a crown. The station's walls shimmered with a soft blue energy field, and massive doors opened to allow entry. Inside, dozens of alien ships rested in assigned bays. When the hatch opened, Daniel stepped out with 2 aides and a translator officer. The air in the station was slightly thinner than Earth's, and it carried a faint metallic scent. Alien figures moved in every direction, some gliding on narrow limbs, others walking with heavy steps that made the floor vibrate, most barely. Looked at the human group, but a few turned their heads, eyes lingering longer than necessary. The escort assigned to them was a Varathian with pale silver skin, and eyes like pools of liquid light. "You will be taken to your quarters," the escort said in a clear but formal tone. "The hearing will begin tomorrow in the central chamber. You are advised to observe council protocols at all times." Daniel gave a polite nod. Understood. Their quarters were clean and functional, with wide windows showing a view of the planet below. The translator officer went over final language adjustments while aides prepared notes. Daniel, however, spent the evening walking through the station's public observation areas. From here he could see other delegations arriving. He noticed groups of Rorth laughing loudly as they moved, the careful, silent steps of the Trillians, and the slow, deliberate walk of a Zorthan group whose eyes scanned every quarter as if weighing its weaknesses. The next morning came quickly. The escort returned, and Daniel was led through a long corridor toward the council chamber. The doors opened into a massive hall shaped like a half-circle. Rows of raised platforms surrounded a central floor where speakers would stand. Above them, banners of different civilizations hung, each marked with symbols and colors unique to their worlds. The murmur of alien voices filled the air. Daniel could feel the weight of every gaze turning toward him as he stepped into the central floor. Whispers began almost at once. He could not hear the words clearly, but the tone was easy to understand. Curiosity mixed with distrust. At the far end, the council chair, a tall Varathian with robes of shifting colors, raised a hand. For silence. The voices faded. "Representative of Earth," the chair said, "you stand here to answer for the actions of your people in the Rilith sector. This council has reviewed the evidence and found reason to question your conduct. We will now hear your statement before judgment is considered." Daniel met the chair's gaze. His voice was steady when he spoke. "I am here to give the truth of what happened. I will answer for my people, and I will listen to every question you ask." There was a pause in the chamber. Then the first alien delegate spoke, and the hearing began. Daniel knew one thing as the questions started. This was not going to be a fair meeting. The council chamber was unlike anything Daniel had seen before. It was vast, with platforms rising like steps on all sides. Each platform held a delegation from a different world. Some representatives sat in high-backed chairs, others on cushioned platforms, and a few floated in small anti-gravity fields. Bright light poured down from above, making the polished black floor shine like a mirror. As Daniel stood in the central speaking area, he could feel the weight of the room pressing on him. Every alien here had centuries of history behind them. Alliances and rivalries stretching far across the stars. Humanity was new to this stage, and most here seemed to think Earth was still learning how to walk. The Varathian chair spoke again. "The council calls for the presentation of evidence regarding the human mining operation. In the Rilith sector, a screen descended from the ceiling, glowing with shifting images. Footage played of large human mining vessels extracting resources from the moon's surface. Then the scene shifted to alien cargo ships waiting in orbit, their schedules delayed. A voice narrated in several languages, accusing Earth of breaking trade protocols and damaging commerce. When the video ended, a tall Zorthan delegate stood. His skin was dark bronze, his eyes narrow and glinting. "These humans," he said, "have shown themselves willing to place their own profit above the stability of the galaxy. This disruption cost us valuable time and resources. The council must act." A low murmur moved through the chamber. Some nodded in agreement, others watched Daniel closely, waiting for his answer. Daniel stepped forward. His voice was calm. The mining operation was approved by the local governing body of the Rilith sector. The delays shown here were minor and caused by natural lunar storms, not human interference. We acted within the agreements signed with the Council 2 years ago. The Zorthan's eyes narrowed further. "Then why is it," he said, "that your presence in that sector coincided with the collapse of several trade schedules? Why is it that the Zorthan shipping lanes were the most affected?" Daniel Could see the trap? The Zorthan were trying to make the Council think humanity had targeted them specifically. But the data he had reviewed on the journey told another story. Because you're shipping lanes. Daniel replied, run directly past that moon, and your ships are the largest in the sector. Any natural disruption would affect you first. That is simple physics, not human sabotage. The Zorthan gave a small smile. But it was not friendly, so you claim coincidence. I claim truth, Daniel said. A Rorth delegate, twice as wide as a human and wearing heavy armor. Lean forward. If what you say is true, then why did your ships remain in the area after the storms passed? Why did they not withdraw immediately? To avoid conflict, Daniel met the Rorth's gaze without flinching. Because pulling out without completing the work would have left the site unstable. The equipment could have been damaged, and the mining colony would have been unsafe for both humans and visiting traders. We finished what was needed to make it safe. There was a ripple of conversation through the platforms. The chair raised. A hand for silence again. The council will hear further questions tomorrow. This session is ended. Daniel stepped back as the large doors at the far end opened. Delegations began to leave in groups, talking in low voices. His aides moved toward him, but he raised a hand to stop them. Not yet, he said. He wanted to watch, from the corner of his eye. Daniel saw the Zorthan delegation speaking quickly among themselves. Before leaving through a side corridor, their movements were controlled. But there was something in their pace that suggested urgency. Back in his assigned quarters, Daniel sat at the table while his translator officer, Mark, replayed parts of the hearing. They are pushing a narrative, Mark said. The Zorthan want to make it look like you were there to harm their trade. Daniel nodded. And the council is ready to believe them. They are not looking for truth. They are looking for an excuse. That night, Daniel received a secure message from Earth Command. It came through a narrow-band encrypted channel, bouncing through several relay points before reaching him. The sender's code was unknown, but the encryption was at the highest level. The message contained a small set of files. Inside were intercepted communications between Zorthan officials and certain council members. The contents were clear. The Zorthan had been planning for months to push Earth into a diplomatic trap. They wanted sanctions placed on humanity before it could expand its influence any further. Daniel stared at the files for a long moment before speaking. Where did these come from? The reply came in a single line of text. From a friend who believes in your cause. Use them well. He knew better than to trust the source fully. But the evidence matched the strange timing of events. If he could confirm it, the Zorthan case against Earth would collapse. The next morning, Daniel requested a private meeting with the Varathian chair. At first, the request was refused. Only after he insisted, stating it was a matter of urgent security, did they agree. The meeting took place in a smaller chamber lined with silver panels. The chair entered silently, their robes shifting colors as they moved. You requested this audience. Speak. Daniel placed a small data crystal on the table. This contains communications between the Zorthan delegation and certain members of the council. These messages prove the accusations against Earth are part of a planned attack on our reputation. I request that you review them before the next session. The chair's expression was unreadable. If this is false, they said, you will be expelled from Vareth and your world will face the council's full judgment. Daniel did not move. It is not false. The chair took the crystal and left without another word. Later, walking through one of the station's long viewing corridors, Daniel saw the Zorthan delegation again. This time they noticed him. Their leader's gaze was sharp and cold, but there was something else, a flicker of uncertainty. Daniel kept walking, his steps steady. He knew the next session would decide everything. If the evidence was accepted, the council might be forced to question the Zorthan. If it was ignored, then Earth would be in greater danger than ever before. As the day ended, the stars outside the station seemed brighter than before. Daniel stood at the window for a long time, watching them. He had no illusions about what was coming. The council chamber tomorrow would not just be a place of words, it would be a battlefield of truth and lies, and every move would matter. Morning on Vareth Station began with a low hum through the walls. As power systems shifted into peak mode, Daniel woke early, long before the official call to the council chamber. He had spent most of the night reviewing the intercepted Zorthan communications again, checking for any detail that could be questioned. Each message he read made the truth clearer. Earth had been targeted deliberately. His aides joined him for a quick briefing over a simple meal. Mark, the translator officer, spread a projection of the council seating plan on the table. If the chair presents your evidence, the Zorthan will strike back verbally. They will try to twist your data as forged or taken out of context. Daniel nodded. They will. But the timing of their messages matches the mining incident exactly. The more they argue, the more obvious it becomes. Across the galaxy, in Earth's capital, the Defense Fleet Command was already making its own plans. The council hearings were not the only front in this conflict. If the Zorthan were setting traps in the chamber, they might also be preparing military moves in the shadows. Admiral Thomas believed that a quick, precise show of force would remind the galaxy that Earth could protect itself. On the command floor, holographic maps displayed Zorthan-controlled space. Red markers showed their main military outposts. Lines of blue light traced potential approach routes for stealth ships. The orders were clear: no open attack, but enough action to disable key Zorthan positions if needed. Back on Verith, Daniel stepped into the council chamber. The air felt heavy, the kind of weight that came when every delegate expected a decisive moment. The Varathian chair stood tall on the center platform, holding a small silver data crystal. This council, the chair began, has received new material concerning the events in the Rilith sector. It is the duty of this body to examine any credible evidence. The room stirred. Eyes turned toward the Zorthan platform. Their leader sat still, but the muscles in his jaw tightened. The chair activated the crystal. The chamber filled with the sound of recorded voices, translated into the common language. The first was a Zorthan trade minister speaking to an unknown council delegate. If the humans can be made to appear disruptive, sanctions will follow. Their expansion must be slowed before they become a threat. The next recording was dated a week before the mining delays. It showed a Zorthan commander saying, "We will redirect cargo schedules to pass near their site. Delays will look intentional." When the final recording ended, silence filled the hall. Every delegate was watching the Zorthan platform now. Their leader stood. "This is false fabrication. The humans seek to protect themselves by attacking our honor. These recordings could have been made by any technology." Daniel stepped forward. "These are not fabrications. The encryption signatures match Zorthan government channels. Independent analysis from Verith's own data department can confirm this." The chair's gaze swept the chamber. "The council will conduct a full verification. Until then, discussion on sanctions against Earth will be suspended." Suspension was not the same as victory, but it was a start. Daniel left the chamber, knowing the Zorthan would not simply wait for the investigation to finish. They would try to shift the balance another way. Hours later, in a quiet observation lounge overlooking Verith's northern hemisphere, Daniel met with a contact who had sent him the evidence. The contact was hooded, their voice low. "You have slowed them, but you have not stopped them. They have other plans." "What kind of plans?" Daniel asked. "Military pressure. You must be ready." The contact left as quietly as they arrived. Daniel returned to his quarters and sent a secure message to Earth Command. The reply came in less than an hour. "Understood. Defensive countermeasures in motion." At that same moment, Earth's stealth fleet was already in position. In the dark void of Zorthan space, black-hulled ships moved silently between sensor nets. Pilots sat in dimly lit cockpits, eyes on targeting displays. Railguns were loaded, EMP bursts ready to fire. The goal was not destruction. It was to disable, to show precision and control. The first strike came against a Zorthan listening post orbiting an uninhabited planet. A single EMP burst washed over it, cutting its power. Before the Zorthan could send a distress signal, Earth's ships had moved on. The second strike was a targeted railgun shot. That disabled the engine core of a Zorthan patrol cruiser. The ship drifted, powerless, until rescue came hours later. No lives were lost, but the message was clear. Someone could move through their territory without being stopped. In the council chamber the next day, rumors of the attacks reached alien delegates. The Zorthan leader accused Earth immediately. These strikes are an act of aggression. They prove to humans the grand chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with a tense silence. Daniel Ross stood firmly on the polished black floor, facing the dozens of alien delegates who watched him closely. Today was not like the earlier hearings. Today, Earth's message was no longer just words. It was backed by action, and the entire galaxy had taken notice. The massive screen above the chamber flickered to life. Instead of the usual static images or recordings, it showed live feeds from space, Earth's fleet hovering above Zorthan Prime, the capital world of the rival species that had tried to frame humanity. The footage was clear and undeniable. Sleek human ships, dark and silent, moved through the planet's orbit. Their railguns and EMP emitters were ready but held back. The human commanders wanted the galaxy to see strength, not destruction. A ripple passed through the room. Some delegates whispered to each other. Others stared at the screen in disbelief. The Zorthan delegation sat rigidly, their eyes sharp and full of anger. Daniel took a deep breath and began to speak. The attacks on Zorthan installations were precise and controlled. No lives were lost. Earth does not seek unnecessary bloodshed. But we will defend our people and our place in this galaxy. The Zorthan leader stood immediately. His voice was loud and cutting. This is an act of war. You threaten the peace of the Council with your fleet in our skies. We demand sanctions and immediate withdrawal. Daniel met his glare without hesitation. If your accusations were true, why did you attack first with lies and false evidence? We responded only after your deception was exposed. A Varathian delegate raised a hand to calm the chamber. Let us remember the facts presented. The recordings confirmed the Zorthan scheme. The strikes demonstrated Earth's power and restraint. This council must decide carefully. One by one, delegates began to speak. The Rorith, known for their strength and blunt honesty, nodded in approval of Earth's measured response. Strong defense protects all. The humans have shown respect by avoiding unnecessary violence. The Trellians, silent and mysterious, simply observed, but their eyes betrayed interest and respect. They rarely praised openly, so their attention meant much. Slowly, the tide turned. The council chair rose once more, after reviewing all evidence and considering Earth's actions. The council suspends all charges against your planet. We acknowledge your right to defend yourselves and call for peace. Daniel allowed himself a brief smile. It was not a victory earned by words alone, but by courage and strength. The galaxy had seen humanity's true nature, fierce when needed, just when possible. As the chamber began to empty, several delegates approached Daniel with cautious respect. The path ahead would not be easy, but Earth had secured its place. Among the stars, outside the chamber, Daniel received a message from Earth Command. Zorthan forces are retreating to defensive positions. Your mission has shifted from defense to diplomacy. Prepare for further talks. Looking up at the bright stars through the station's windows, Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity was ready to face its future. After the Council's announcement, the atmosphere inside the great chamber changed completely. The delegates, who had once whispered and watched with suspicion, now sat in stunned silence. For many, it was the first time in decades that the Council had been shaken so deeply. Earth's unexpected strength and resolve had broken the usual rhythm of politics and power. Daniel Ross remained standing in the center, feeling the eyes of the galaxy upon him. The Varathian chair looked thoughtful, no longer the cold official who had first summoned Earth to answer accusations. Instead, there was a new respect in their gaze. Around the chamber, some delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Many species had grown used to controlling or influencing smaller powers through careful pressure and negotiation. Earth had refused to play that game. Instead, it had responded with clear and undeniable force. The Rorith delegate, known for blunt speech, leaned toward his neighbors and said, "This human will not be pushed or tricked. Their people are strong in ways many have not seen before. A small group of Trellians whispered among themselves. Their quiet voices carried weight, for the Trellians were known as wise advisors whose judgment often swayed votes. Meanwhile, the Zorthan delegation sat stiffly, anger burning in their eyes but no words to speak. Their plan to weaken Earth had failed spectacularly. Now they faced the embarrassment of defeat in the political arena, and the threat of Earth's growing power. As the chamber emptied, Daniel was approached by several representatives. A Varathian with pale silver skin and gentle eyes stepped forward. Representative Ross, your people have changed the Council's view of humanity. It is clear you are no longer seen as novices, but as equals. Daniel nodded, grateful but cautious. Thank you. Earth wishes for peace and cooperation, but we will never accept false accusations or threats. The Varathian smiled slightly. Your honesty is rare and will be remembered later. In a quiet corner of the station, Daniel met with his aides. This moment is important, he said, but it does not mean the fight is over. Mark, his translator, nodded. Other factions will try new ways to challenge Earth. We must remain vigilant. Back on Earth, the news of the Council's silence spread quickly. People gathered in streets and squares, watching screens that showed Daniel's return. Many cheered. For the first time, humanity felt the weight of its place in the stars. At the same time, Earth's leaders prepared for the difficult road ahead. Diplomatic talks would continue, and behind the scenes, the defense fleet would increase. Patrols and readiness. The Council's silence was powerful, but it was also a warning. Earth had made enemies, and some would not accept this new strength quietly. Days later, Daniel received a personal message from the Council chair. It was a rare gesture. The message read, "Your courage and honesty have opened new doors for your people. The galaxy watches, and many will choose to stand with Earth or against it. Prepare wisely." Daniel understood the meaning. The galaxy was changing. Earth had proven itself, but this was only the beginning. As the station's artificial night fell, Daniel stood once more at the window, looking at the stars that now felt closer and less threatening. He knew that humanity's fierce retaliation had silenced the Council, but it had also awakened new challenges. With quiet determination, he whispered to himself, "We will meet whatever comes with strength and honor." The halls of Verith's grand station were quieter now. The great council chamber no longer buzzed with heated debate. Instead, a calm had settled, a calm built on a new understanding. Humanity had changed the galaxy's view of Earth, and the ripples of that change reached every corner of known space. Daniel Ross walked steadily through the station's corridors. His mission was nearly complete, but the weight of responsibility pressed on his shoulders. Earth was no longer just a distant blue planet, it was a power to be reckoned with. As he entered the council chamber one last time, he saw familiar faces. Some looked at him with respect, others with cautious curiosity. The Zorthan delegation remained, but their posture had softened. The council had made its decision clear. Earth was free of all charges and welcomed as a member of the galactic community. The chair of the council, a Varathian whose shimmering robes now seemed to glow with a softer light, spoke with authority. Earth has proven itself through action and truth. The Council accepts your planet as an equal member. This is a new era for all. Daniel stepped forward, voice steady and clear. On behalf of Earth, I thank the Council. We seek peace, cooperation, and a place where all species can grow and prosper together. The applause that followed was genuine, not forced. It was the sound of a galaxy recognizing a new player, one who had fought hard for respect and earned it fairly. Outside the chamber, Daniel met with the Zorthan leader. There was no warmth between them, but a quiet nod passed between the two men. The rivalry remained, but now it was balanced by mutual recognition. Earth has changed the game. The Zorthan said, "We will watch you closely, as will we watch you." Daniel replied, "Back on Earth." Celebrations marked the news across continents. People gathered in public squares and homes to watch the broadcasts. From Verith, for many, it was the first time they felt truly part of a greater universe. Leaders on Earth began new talks with other species, focusing on trade, science, and cultural exchange. The Defense Fleet increased patrols, but also extended invitations for joint exercises and shared training. Humanity was ready to be a responsible partner. In the weeks that followed, Daniel received messages from unexpected places, small planets, isolated colonies, and species long thought uninterested in galactic politics. Many reached out, curious about this strong new human presence. Some offered alliances, others sought knowledge. One evening, Daniel stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, gazing at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but for the first time, he felt confident. Humanity had fought hard and would fight harder still to keep its place. The stars twinkled with promise. In the future, once uncertain, now shone brightly. With a deep breath, Daniel whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning."